I really enjoy playing Shiva in Mortal Kombat 11, but it makes me think about an even more powerful grappler. We're talking about a character who could delete most of your health bar with a single combo. A grappler who was so strong he wasn't allowed in the sequel. He was born on a Monday, and his name was Grundy. So if we're gonna talk about Grundy as a grappler, then of course we gotta start off by talking about his character power, otherwise known as the Pain Chain, because this move is by far his best command grab, if not the best command grab in the entire game. As you likely already guessed, this move is unblockable, and you also can't duck it, and crazier still, you can't even parry this thing, or at least most characters can't parry it. Which means if you wanted to avoid this move, you had to backdash, or jump, or do an armored attack of some kind, otherwise this move was landing. And on block, this thing was terrifying for the opponent because it made tick throws super easy because it's just one button, so you could jab and then just press the trait button, and there you go, a tick throw. You can do down one and then trait, and there's a tick throw. You can do uppercut and then throw, there's a tick throw. And normally stuff like this is quite tricky for beginners, but not with Grundy. It was just single button into another single button. And then on top of all of that, if Grundy wanted to, he could meter burn this move for the cost of 1 bar, and it gained armor for a single hit. And this meant a couple of things. So for starters, he could just armor through your wake up, even if it was invincible. And then crazier still, he could actually use this move to eat your jump in. So it was pretty much an anti-air, which Grundy already had. He had an anti-air throw, but it wasn't that great, only 11%, and he couldn't meter burn it. So if you had bar laying around, you're better off just amplifying his command throw. However, literally nothing we've talked about explains why this command grab was so amazing. So this actually allowed Grundy to buff himself in 3 different ways, and the buffs actually lasted for the entire match until he changed the buff. So for example, this first command grab chain is the damage chain. And what this does is make it so that every attack Grundy does will now do more damage. And on top of that, it leaves the opponent a bit closer. But check this out, this string now does 15% damage, whereas normally it only does 12%. So already that's a pretty big increase. And as mentioned earlier, this damage buff would last for the entire duration of the match unless the Grundy player wanted to change which buff they were currently using. So right now I just have a permanent damage buff, so I can just do this, boop, boop, boop. And now this command grab chain will also do more damage. And I can just keep doing it. And now I already have the opponent in the corner, but just look at this damage off a raw back 3. We're now getting 45%, and that didn't cost any meter. So as you can see, Grundy does damage, and with this one command chain option, he does even more damage than normal. And then next up, we had the health chain. So this allowed Grundy to effectively take less damage from every attack you landed on him, which in other words kind of gives him more health because he can just take more punishment than normal. And then on top of that, this command chain option also does the most damage. So if you want to end the round or win the match, this was your most damaging option to go for. As you can see, it does 31% instead of 25% like the first command chain did. And giving Grundy more health just helped him a bit more against the zoners and keep away characters in this game, which was still a tough matchup, but it's always nice to have a bit more health. And then for his third and final chain, we had the chip damage reduction. So when Grundy landed this, he would take less damage on block. This could also work fairly well against keep away characters if you wanted to walk in and block everything they did, though in all honesty, the health buff was a bit better in this regard, which is why you didn't see this option very often. But even so, it did serve a purpose in certain matchups. So already that's a lot to take in. We have a 1-button command grab, which is great for tick throws on block, it can end combos, and it can buff Grundy in 3 different ways. However, we still haven't talked about the craziest thing about this throw, at least in my opinion. So Grundy had this move right here, his back 1. And for whatever reason, if you waited and then mashed throw, the opponent couldn't actually escape your character power. They could hold up, they could block, it didn't matter, it was guaranteed to land. And that might not seem like a big deal, but look at the combo counter. It resets completely. So this counts as an entirely separate combo that the opponent couldn't escape. Or in other words, Grundy just gets to have a guaranteed 25% damage follow-up on top of whatever combo he landed before. So real quick, here's an example of what I mean. Gonna land the combo, go for this, and now this throw is completely unscaled damage. The opponent cannot escape this, I just get to have an extra 25%, and look at the damage. Look at this, they're already over half dead. And that was just a single combo and 1 bar of meter. This character was nuts once he got going. So if you were ever unlucky enough to get caught by his meter burn swamp hands, he could just land this, go for the trait, and you had to deal with it. There was no way to escape this thing. He just gets guaranteed follow-up damage, and now his damage is buffed. But of course, things only get crazier for this character because Grundy had a Grave Rot, and what this did was do damage to the opponent whenever they were near him, and this also still worked even if he was currently hitting you with things like his command grab. And the damage chain was actually his best option for this because you stayed close to him for the longest amount of time. So normally his damage chain only does about 25%, but now check out the damage when I have Grave Rot activated. So here we go, carry him forward, give him the reverse tombstone, bam, now we're doing 36% instead of 25, so an extra 10%, that's really good. And to make things even better, NetherRealm actually buffed the meter burn version, which does even more damage over time. So I'm gonna go ahead and do his damage chain command throw, and just look at how much damage we get here. We're now getting 50% for a single button on the controller. I can't stress that enough. That was a one button throw and then some chain follow-ups afterwards. Now it wasn't actually easy to combo into this thing, but you could at least set it up and then go for your command grab afterwards, and look at that, it actually does combo. I forgot about that. So yeah, you can just combo into this thing and get a very damaging option. Oh my god, 50%, oh my god. Okay, but now I'm curious. I want to see if I can do this and then this. Did that combo? Oh my god, it did. And the command grab still reaches. Oh my god, stay with me here, people, stay with me. So I'm gonna do this, and this is guaranteed, so just guaranteed almost 50%. I don't think it'll be quite 50 because the Grave Rot might wear off, but let's see. Oh my god, it did 44% on top of whatever combo I did before. Oh my god, this is nuts. This is nuts. I didn't even know about this. I'm learning on the fly. This character is nuts. So to summarize what you just saw, I can do the Swamp Hands and then do Meter Burn Grave Rot and still have time to do back one, which as mentioned earlier, guarantees my chain throw follow-up and resets the combo. Oh my goodness, this character is nuts. However, I do think that's about it for his character power, but don't worry, there's still more command grabs to talk about for this guy. So next up, we have the Walking Corpse. Just like his character power, this is unblockable, and the range on it is pretty darn good. It's great for closing the gap. And in case your opponent wants to be cowardly and run away, this move also has armor as well. And keep in mind the batarangs hit twice, so it has more than just one hit of armor. And just to make this move even better, you can cancel it, and look how quickly you recover after the cancel. I'm gonna hold up. Look how quickly I recover. And by the way, I still have armor up until I cancel it, which means you could literally walk through projectiles with the armor and then go into his regular command grab instead for even more damage. Or you could even armor your way in and go for a 50-50 because Grundy did have that. He had an overhead and a low that both led to a guaranteed command grab follow-up. However, we're still not done because the meter burn option on this move was nuts because it is like plus 118 on hit or something crazy like that. And what that meant was you had all day for certain setups, including this one, and you won't believe it until you see it. Dash forward, boom, that was a cross-up. It hit behind the opponent. They had to block in the opposite direction. And the timing for this setup wasn't even difficult. As you just saw, it's just dash forward twice, stance switch, and then boom, I'm on the wrong side, and I can get my combo started. And this setup didn't actually have to cross up unless you wanted it to. You could mess around with the timing, back up a little bit, any number of things, and now you're in the front instead of in the back. So if Grundy ever meter burned his Walking Corpse, he had all day to go for setups, or he could do this and get his Grave Rot going, any number of things. Once again, he is like plus 100 or something crazy like that. And I almost forgot to mention how you can combo off the meter burn version when you're cornered, and the damage is just ridiculous. Look at this character. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about for Grundy was his Swamp Hands. We already showed it a bit, but I wanted to talk about it a bit more because as a grappler, of course the toughest thing is getting in, but thankfully NetherRealm thought of that and gave him Swamp Hands. Now the startup on this move wasn't very fast, but it did knock the opponent down, which meant you could dash in, maybe go for a Walking Corpse and armor through their wake-ups, any number of things. And then as you saw earlier, if you spin the bar, you can hold them in place for a pretty good amount of time, land the back one, and then get a guaranteed command chain setup. So even though Swamp Hands was slow, it was still a great move and did a lot to help Grundy get in. And that's a basic rundown of what made Grundy so scary as a grappler, and I guess on top of all of that, it's worth mentioning how good his damage was and how easy it was to do. And keep in mind, I don't have the damage buff activated, and I also don't have Grave Rot on, and both of those would make me do even more damage. But even without those buffs, I'm still getting an easy 50% with this character, so once he touched you, he did a ton of damage. And you know what, just for fun, here's the Grave Rot. How much damage do I do now? Ah, this is gonna be gross how much damage this is, but let's see. Damage chain, ooh. Where's he going? Towards the corner? Let's take him there. Right there, we're doing like 60 something. Oh my god, we're doing 63%. My goodness. In summary, Grundy was an absolute powerhouse once he closed the gap. He had very damaging setups, combos, and a bunch of command grabs. In my opinion, he's the best grappler that NetherRealm has ever made. And after saying that out loud, it kind of blows my mind he didn't make it into Injustice 2. But I guess maybe he just wasn't that popular. But please let me know your thoughts on Grundy in the comment section down below. And then while you're down there, please leave a like if you enjoyed the video. It really does help my channel out a ton. And finally, why not keep that combo going by suplexing that subscribe button? That way you never miss a future video. Make sure to come back next time, and as always, stay underdogs.